Deneen Borelli, she is a Project 21 fellow and a Fox News contributor. Niger Innes is a national spokesperson for the Congress of Racial Equality. And David Webb, he is the host of business radio talk show called The Grinder Show.com. All right, where do we even start with this?
Well, first of all, I want you to know that Pookie is dark-skinned with Negro dialect. I want you to know right off the bat, okay? So he may not qualify for president, but we're going to get him a green job.
Thank you for taking care of Pookie.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, well, doing everything I can.
Green jobs are nothing but a myth. If they were so great, why do they require government funding? Why are the taxpayers paying?
Well, they'll say that that's because we have to put the initial investment in it. It's kind of like, you know, if this nuclear bomb would work, why do we have to have the Manhattan Project?
Yeah.
That would be their excuse.
You look at Spain, it's not working, okay? They have the highest unemployment rate in the EU. For every green job, it takes the place of a regular job. It's like 2.2 jobs. So Obama wants to use their blueprint. That's wrong.
And I'll tell you, Glenn, and Deneen is dead right. What this is it's called bait and switch. I think those within the administration and within Congress that are pushing this agenda around energy and the environment realize that the people that are going to get hurt the most as government picks and chooses energy winners, you know, which are going to be alternative energy as opposed to energy losers, big bad oil and fossil fuels, other fossil fuels. They understand that as government steps into this economy, that the biggest losers are going to be poor and working class people. So they bring in Van Jones to say, oh no, we're going to be bringing jobs, not taking away jobs from you, which is really what's going to happen.
The president has already said if his energy plans go through, energy prices would necessarily skyrocket. Those are his words. Yeah. So David, you have nobody to blame if you're President Obama and the Democratic Party. How do you get away with this?
Well, first, and to your point, if you're going to give Pookie a job, but you tax the corporations to where they move out of the neighborhood,
he should get his own
Let's get his own show.
Then Pookie won't have a job to go to because the corporation has left the building or the neighborhood in this case. And if you have nobody to blame, part of the problem is the black community is so ingrained after generations that they will believe what is being fed to them by the Democrats, and before the election, they show up, throw a block party, we're going to give you all of this. So that culture of dependency needs to be broken. And the Democrats right now don't want to break the culture of dependency. They want to create more entitlements.
Do you feel like the African-American community is waking up at all? Because a lot of America is waking up. They're seeing, whoa. I mean, I'm seeing Republicans who I thought were zombie Republicans and will always be a Republican, waking up and saying, wait.
Well, I hope more and more people are, but because what Americans want are jobs, period. And with cap and trade, for example, which is a tax on energy, it's a job killer. So to me, this policy that the Obama administration is pushing is going to do more harm than good.
And that's critical because the fact is, it is the final frontier for achieving the equality of opportunity society that we all want to achieve. I mean, quite frankly, you voted against him, you voted for him. Barack Obama's presidency, frankly, Michael Steele's, RNC chairman, represents that we have made such great strides as a country since the bad old days. But if there's one last frontier, it's the economic arena. And the beauty of the free market system is not that it rewards the rich. It rewards those who want to be rich, and it rewards economic mobility. And this cap and trade scheme will kill that.
Solar thing. I mean, last Friday when the jobs report number came out, we lost 85,000 jobs instead of creating jobs that everyone thought. And the president said, well, we're going to do something else. We're going to do $2.3 billion in tax credits for solar panels.
Picking and choosing.
And it's going to create 17,000 jobs. We just lost 80. I mean, the math is so bad. I got to tell you, while we're doing all of this, because all of this is just a scam to redistribute wealth, while we're doing all of this, China is cutting 25-year deals for gas, oil with Russia.
Going into Africa.
Okay, hang on. I got to take a break. Big government is what we're talking about, and how they just steamroll people and use people. Favors, special favors. Are you the right person? Big government, how it's hurting you and everybody. Next. have to say a prayer for the people in Haiti. I fear that things are going to heat up and become much, much worse here in the next few hours, as 72 hours seems to be the secret number where people start to lose hope and the bad guys rise up and start to take things into their own hands. Hopefully we'll be there in time with enough force from around the world to let the people know that law and order still rules in Haiti. You'll have to excuse me and my voice. I have been sick for the last few days, but I couldn't miss this special tonight, and I couldn't cancel it because the last time we had it scheduled was I went into the hospital for appendicitis. I think the audience is trying to kill me. Help. It's time to be heard, content of character. We want to switch gears here and look a little bit at big government and how it is really only built a culture of dependency with government and the African-American community. Our panel for this segment is Charles Payne, Angel Robinson. She is a local coordinator with the Campaign for Liberty, and Brendan Bryce. He's a community organizer in Harlem. Charles is over at the blackboard. I swear, every time.
Hey, listen, I like getting the blackboard.
My blackboard. And by the way, why are you writing on a blackboard? Why don't you write on a whiteboard?
I tried it. You just can't read it.
All right.
Glenn, I want to talk about, because right now in this country, right, it's all about big government getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and why it's so dangerous, and why I know it's so dangerous because of what it's done to the black community. If you guys remember, in the summer of 1960, Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested in Atlanta. He was in a sit-in. It was a peaceful sit-in, and he was still in jail. JFK called the family in October. Bobby Kennedy called the judge and the jailer. Martin Luther King Sr. was a lifelong Republican, and he backed Richard Nixon. When they made those phone calls, he became a Democrat, and from that moment on, the Democrats and the liberals have had us lock, stock, and barrel. So let's talk about 50 years of what's happened to black people by blindly allowing big government to take over their hopes and dreams. In 1960, the lifespan of a black person was set. By the way, these are numbers that I've compiled, that I found. People may want to dispute them. Life expectancy for blacks was 7 years less than whites. Right now, white people live to 78, blacks to 72. 50 years, we've made up about 6 years. 50% of black kids did not graduate high school in 1960. In Detroit, the dropout rate is almost 75%.
It's unbelievable.
Wow. In Los Angeles, 35%.
Jeez.
You can go down this road. Baltimore, it's about, what, 60%? And in the suburbs, it's 30%.
Charles, don't you think, and maybe let's stop you here for a second, don't you think this is about the breakdown of the family? I don't think government can solve this.
It gets broken down because of this. It gets broken down because of this. When you give all your hopes and your dreams, when you take it from the family, when your family gave it away.
When dad is Uncle Sam.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the problem.
This is the result, though, of when you allow big government to take the place.
Okay.
Well, you know,
Okay. Black people made half of what white people made. Well, today a black person makes about $33,000 a year. The average white person, $55,000. That hasn't changed too much. In 1950, only 8% of black households were led only by a woman. That was 20% by 1960. 8%. Right now, by some reports, only 29% of black households have a father, have a male figure, yes.
Together with the amount of discrimination and racism that we had in the 1960s and compare it to the opportunities of today, it's actually much worse. And Glenn is right. The number one priority of conservative values is faith first, and then to get the family back, because the best antidote to racism and poverty are those conservative values, and excellence, and a father in the home is one of those.
The key, though, is that we cannot give our souls. And people around the world, it's not just, well, we've fallen into the trap. We fell into the trap. But the country right now is on the cusp of perhaps falling into the same trap.
Wait, let me.
There's an important note here about black families that in the 1960s, 80+% of black children were born to a two-parent household. That shift has gone completely the other way, where most black children in the 80 percentile range are now born to single-family households. When you think about that breakdown in the family, that is so key to what's going on in the family.
Brandon, this is kind of really what Bill Cosby talked about and was hammered for.
Well, it's interesting because one of the things that Bill Cosby said was you need to be accountable, you need to be responsible. But the more important thing is when we look at, as Republicans, as conservatives, when we talk about the fear of big government, we have to remember that big government, whether you like it or not, it's the perceived notion that they're taking care of much of low-income America right now, especially at a time during this depression. Maybe the solution should be more on smarter government, more responsible government. And I believe that if that happens, then what you'll have is you'll automatically shift to being smaller government because it'll be based on principle.
All right.
People right now, much of the American public, much of the lower income minority neighborhoods are dependent upon this. So you can't speak against something that is supporting the lower masses, whether you like it or not.